Oh, hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Canada Live, a show where we get together with our community, we chat robots, we talk about all the good things that are happening. And guess what? There are a lot of good things that are happening. All right, folks, as Canadians, it is important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect upon the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The Indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we remember the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, now, folks, let's introduce our co-host for today's show. She's a student on First Tech Challenge Team 16397, relatively quantum from Brampton, and a member of the First Canada Youth Council. Welcome, Muskaan, to the show.
Hello.
How's it going, Muskaan?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did semester 2 start this week for you?
Yes, I think it's actually our second weekend.
Oh, second weekend. And how's that going for you so far?
It's going well. I like all my classes so far, and I'm still getting adjusted to the whole semester shift, but it's going very well.
Yeah, well, what classes do you have right now?
Off the top of my head. Okay. I have French, English, psychology. Oh, not English. That was last semester. French, psychology, chemistry, and functions.
Okay, which is your favorite so far?
I would have to say functions.
There we go. Functions is a good one. I enjoyed that class a lot. That's a really good one. Well, Muskaan, we got more fun stuff happening on today's show. We got some amazing guests. We got a preview of the 2023 STEMathon. We've got a discussion about the First Canada C.O.R.E initiative, and we have author Elaine Kachala talking about her new book, Superpower, The Wearable Tech Revolution. So all sorts of fun things happening. Hey, and folks, if you are in the audience and you have any questions throughout the show, don't forget to post them in chat, and we'll try and answer them live on the air. And of course, remember here, why are we here? We're here to have fun, celebrate excellence in our community. So let's stay positive throughout the show. And speaking of positivity, Muskaan, it's time for our Youth Council Wellness Moment. So what do you have to tell us about today?
So I have my wellness moment today would be reading, because it's something that I very recently got back into. I used to love reading when I was little, and then I kind of stopped for a while for no explicable reason, but then I came back to it recently, and it's been making me really happy. It's been something that I've wanted to get back into for a while, and it's been making me feel really good for the past little while.
That's amazing. And you know what? I hear from a lot of students who are like, oh, I don't have time to read, or I have so much reading to do in school, in English class or history class. So how do you make time for reading?
I would say that I try to find things that would really relate to what I'm trying to focus on. So not even necessarily like academia, because if that's stressing you out, I'm sure you wouldn't want to focus on it. But like, for example, I was in gym class like a little while ago, and I didn't like it. It's not my favorite subject, but I do like reading a lot. So I picked up a book about a sports series, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So I try to relate everything that I'm doing with each other. That way I can still feel focused and maybe gain back some motivation to enjoy gym class again.
And you don't have a difficulty making time to read?
I would say no, because I try to plan out my day mostly on, okay, for these many hours, I'm going to study, I'm going to work, and then for like an hour or so around nighttime when I'm tired and I'm not going to be productive anymore, I would say, okay, I can read now. That way I'm not really feeling like guilty because I've gotten done what I need to do. I've still been productive all day, but then I get the time to do what I want. So I feel relaxed and I'm fresh to do it again the next morning.
That's fabulous, because you know what, there's a limit to how much time you can put into school and how much studying you can do, or how much robotics you can do. And I find that reading is a great way to unwind before bed. And I find that when I read before bed, I sleep so much better. I try and read 1 hour before bed every night. Just kind of like, it's like almost like you're like slowing your brain down a little bit and just kind of relaxing. And then like you have something to think about as you're falling asleep. So you're not thinking about work or school or stress. I'm thinking about whatever just happened in the book. So it's really, really fun. So I'm glad that you're making time for reading. I think that's a great wellness moment. I recommend that everyone does that. And hey, folks, just remember, like, if you're like, oh, books are expensive, public libraries are part of the greatest parts of our society. They are out there. You can get books for free. You can get books downloaded to your device for free now. You don't even have to go to the library. It's fabulous. So I recommend getting a library card and taking advantage of all the things that they have to offer. All right, now for our news updates. Just a reminder, folks, for the next little bit, next week, our next show will not be next week. It's 2 weeks from now. But once we get into first robotics competition season, we'll be going every weekend where there's an event. The Tuesday afterwards, we'll be doing recaps of the event. So it's going to be great like that. So we'll keep you up to date on the schedule. But our next show was going to be on February 28th. And we have a lot of events coming up, because we have the First Tech Challenge Provincial Championship happening on February 26th at Centennial College in Scarborough. Muskaan, how excited are you for that? I know your team's qualified for that one.
Yes, I can't even contain it. I saw the email and I burst out of my seat jumping. I was so happy. I believe we are already registered. I think we confirmed. I would have to make sure, but we are so prepared. We cannot wait.
It's going to be a really fun event. I've visited Centennial College recently to check it out. It's a great venue. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. And of course, we have our first robotic competition. And hey, by the way, folks, if you're out there and are looking for something to do on Sunday, February 26th, still looking for volunteers for our First Tech Challenge Provincials, like, Muskaan, how cool are the robots at this event?
I from the qualifiers I've seen, the people I know who are qualifying, I would say they're absolutely amazing. There's so much innovation. My favorite part, it's so unique. No two robots are the same. Every booth you go to, every match, it's something different. I'm so pumped.
It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be great. And then we have our first robotics competition events happening all through March and April. But just a reminder, if you come to any of our events, remember, bring a mask, because you're going to have to wear masks on site. And if you're a team member, you're like, yeah, I know, I'm going to bring a mask. Make sure you tell all the parents who are coming with you, all the guests, just so everyone is prepared. Also, we want to do a special shout out here to FRC teams 1241 Theory 6 and 1360 Orbit for their help cutting all the every parts for our Ontario teams this season. That was a huge endeavor. And these two teams took time out of their busy build season to support 17 other teams across the province. And that's like gracious professionalism effect. So thank you, teams 1241 and 1360. Hey, and if you are a Indigenous identifying student of First Canada across the country, you can apply for the First Canada Indigenous Scholarship. The deadline is March 31st, so it's open to graduating students. It's, apply. You never know, you could win a scholarship. And folks, safety is a top priority here at First Canada. To help ensure that you're ready and up to date with all safety rules and regulations, you can take the Bronze First Canada Safety Badge quiz. Those who score high enough will get a virtual certificate, which can be exchanged for a real badge by Paul Keenan at the swag booth. So, Muskaan, you should get your team. So I'll take this before provincials, and then you can get your badges.
I didn't realize it was even for First Tech Challenge teams. I thought it was only FRC, but now that you mention it, I'm definitely going to be taking it. Definitely even tonight, maybe.
Yeah, you know what? I guess it is for First Tech Challenge teams now. I just kind of said it. I didn't think about it either, Muskaan. We'll see. We'll find out, but we'll get you a badge. We'll hook you up. Safety is important across all our programs, because it's you're working with different scale sorts of things. But in First Tech Challenge, you're cutting, you're wearing safety glasses. So it's important to be safe. Other things going on here, folks. Muskaan, I know you're in there. We have the First Ontario Team Slack, Team Support Slack. So if teams ever have any questions or whatever, that's a great place to dive in. So a link for that's going into chat. And for all our alumni watching, if you have not yet join the First Canada LinkedIn group for alumni. Great place to network, find out about job opportunities, co-op placements, full-time, looking for a career switch, all sorts of people to network in there. That's a great opportunity. So that's gone into chat too. All right, folks, we're going to be back with our first segment talking about the STEMathon. But before we do that, let's take a look for a word from one of our sponsors, Schneider Electric.
The world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to help power and connect what you do every day, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
All right, we're back. Time for our next segment. I'm really looking forward to this one because it's about one of my favorite events for the year. We're talking about the STEMathon. So I'd love to introduce, first off, Julia MacFarlane, a First Canada alum and former member of the First Canada Youth Council and winner of last year's Don Bosey Leadership and Innovation Scholarship. Welcome back, Julia.
Hello.
It feels like a little bit of a reunion having you back here on First Canada Live.
Yeah, it does. I'm happy to be back.
Thank you. We're glad to have you. And a student on Team 7558 Alt F4 and a member of the current member of the First Canada Youth Council, Samantha is here. How's it going, Samantha?
It's going well. Thank you, Karthik. I'm always excited to come back on First Canada Live.
Yeah, we love having you. How's semester 2 going for you?
It's good. My school's actually in a term system, so it's been the same courses since September.
I was in a term system. I feel like there's very few people who are still in the term system. So it's like the same courses all throughout the year, right?
Yes, everything's still going well though.
Yeah, well, that is fabulous to hear. So Julia, Samantha, you two are members of the First Canada STEMathon Planning Committee, and the STEMathon's an event that's been happening for a few years. I hear you're here to tell us more about the 2023 STEMathon, correct?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
All right, well, why don't you take it away?
All right. Well, we have a little slide deck prepared.
Oh, it's coming. It's gonna be there in a second. The start, it's like a little bit shy, you know. It's like, okay, well, we're just feeling everything out, seeing how everything's going. But yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure to learn everything that's happening with the STEMathon. But Julia, how's your year been going over you're at Dalhousie, right?
I am at Dalhousie. It's very good. We just got our second big snowstorm of the year so far. So we got a delayed start to school this morning, which is always nice.
That's a nice win, you know, it gives you a little bit more time to get ready for everything. But hey, it looks like the slideshow is up.
Yay. All right. So just so everyone can be on the same page about what a STEMathon is. So it's a big event that brings together the next generation of thinkers and leaders to solve a global problem. So at the beginning of the event, the theme is unveiled, and it's just going to be a big problem, and it gives students a chance to practice entrepreneurship while creating hardware or software solutions to the proposed problem/theme.
So the STEMathon lasts for 24 hours. At the beginning of STEMathon, everyone who participates is split up into teams, and the teams work within themselves to solve the problem that is based on the theme. So it does last for 24 hours. It's a virtual overnight event. The activities for the STEMathon are held on Zoom throughout the event. Teams communicate with each other through Slack and Zoom, and the opening and closing ceremonies of the event are held on Twitch.
So 24 hours, that to solve a problem, that sounds pretty intense, right?
It is pretty intense. There's a lot. It's a very late night, but it is 100% worth it.
I agree. So there's two different groups of people who can participate in the STEMathon. To start, you have your students. So this is anyone in grade 8 through 12, but you have to be over the age of 13 to compete. And you can either register with a team of 4 to 5 people that you know. This could be either from your first robotics team or just a group of friends. You don't have to have any first experience to participate, or you can register as an individual and you'll get put into a team. And then there's also the mentor. So each team is paired up with one mentor for the event, and these mentors all have different subject matter expertise. And at the beginning, it'll be released like a short little blurb about each mentor, so everyone kind of knows what the mentors can help in. And then throughout the event, you can also ask different teams, different team mentors to help with your problem as well. So you don't have to. Sorry, Karthik.
No, you go first. You go first.
I was just gonna say, you don't have to limit yourself to just talking to your mentor. You can get as many people as you want to help with your problem.
I was going to say, I was so excited because there's such a cool group of mentors. We have people who've started their own startups. We have NASA rocket scientists, what we did last year, and engineers, computer programmers, just the full gamut of everything. And there's just so much expertise in that room. It's really, really cool. And the students get to work directly with them, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. And they're all like super nice, just like overall good people to have conversations with and hear their perspective on things.
Definitely. So this is our 4th annual STEMathon. So we have 3 past STEMathons. The first one was in 2020, and the theme was Education of the Future. There were 80 plus students and 20 plus mentors. Some of the prizes at that event for people who won the event were laptop packages or like a monitor package, various electronics, and First Canada swag. So on the 2021 STEMathon, the theme was limitless accessibility with 80 plus students and 20 plus mentors. Some of the prizes were Chromebooks, monitors, various electronics, and again, First Canada swag. And last year's STEMathon, 2022, the theme was sustainability, the future starts now, with 50 plus students, 15 plus mentors. Some of the prizes were a Fujifilm Instax mini camera, a Fitbit Charge 4S, Chromebooks, and of course, First Canada swag. There is no First Canada event without First Canada swag.
Yeah, and it's not just like you hear prizes, but everyone gets something. So everyone gets something in there. Not everyone's going to get a laptop. That's for the top teams naturally, but everyone gets some swag. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I think the swag is my favorite part. My whole closet, it's just a little corner of it is just First Canada merch.
Did you bring it all out to Dalhousie?
I did. I'm wearing
Nice.
some of it right now.
There you go. There you
yeah.
go. Oh, nice,
oh,
Samantha.
Samantha's got a nice one.
Samantha's fancy with the First Canada Live
shirt. That must be new. That's very nice. Okay, so a little bit more of an in-depth recap from last year. So it was on May 14th to May 15th, started at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. It's a nice early start. And then you start the day with our opening ceremonies. And then there's 2 different presentations given by various experts. So last year it was information on brainstorming design, and then presentation. So how to give a good pitch, because that's a very fundamental part of the STEMathon. You only have a certain amount of time with the judges. So if you have no past experience, it would be pretty hard to give a pitch without knowing what you're doing. So Celeste gives a very nice presentation. And then you get the theme launch. And then from then to the judging sessions, which is 8:30 the next morning, you have all this time to work with your mentor and your group to come up with your solution. And then afterwards, there's little activities such as scavenger hunts or whatever the youth council decides to put together this year. And then 1 p.m. is the closing ceremonies and awards. So last year, like we mentioned, there was over 50 participants, 20 mentors, 6 speakers, 4 activities, and workshops. Yeah, it was a very fun event. I enjoyed it. I think Samantha, correct me if I'm wrong, you were moderator last year, like in the Slack channels?
I wasn't moderator last year, but I did the youth council event with Srila last year.
Right, yeah. So
now we have our 2022 STEMathon recap.
And maybe we could try again with audio on the STEMathon video.
Yeah. So this is the theme reveal from last year.
Yeah, or maybe we can stop the screen share and restart it. Maybe that'll create the audio for us. And while that's going on, yeah, this is last year's theme. Last year's theme, oh my goodness, I forget. One of you two is going to have to tell me what last year's theme was.
It was sustainability.
Sustainability, that's right. And there's been pretty cool things. And now Samantha and Julia, you both have participated in the STEMathon when you were students, right? And
Yes.
so Julia, what was your project when you did it?
So my team competed in the accessibility themes. So it was a while ago. If I remember correctly, we did something along the lines of creating a software that specializes the curriculum towards different
Types of
students.
learners?
Yeah,
I
something
remember
along
it.
the
I
lines
remember
of
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a tough one for us, at least.
Yeah.
It was our first time competing in something like this, and I had a group of my friends from home. It was very nice.
And what about you, Samantha? When you participated? You participated the same year, right? Accessibility?
Actually, no, I participated in 2020 in the education challenge. So
Okay.
my team, we had our, it was born out of a dislike of English class out of all four of us. And so we created an app that would make learning English like a lot more fun. So basically it would just like, that they teach these books like To Kill a Mockingbird or other things like that in class. So they're just like these crosswords and things like that to just make learning about those novels more fun.
Yeah,
Like,
and that you were doing it in an electronic enhanced reading, like an enhanced book format. Is that kind of what it was?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
And you won a prize that year. Did you win the overall prize or?
We won, I think we were the second ranked team. We won the solution prize.
Nice. And so what prize did you get?
I won the monitor that I'm using right now. I won at the STEMathon.
Cool.
There you go. There you go. That's how it goes. That's where it goes. Hey, let's take a look and we can try that video again. Are you all hearing the audio? Because I am not.
I'm not either.
Not either.
That's okay. We'll let it play through. That's why it's captioned.
Can they find the video online anywhere?
I'm not sure. That's okay. We can get through. But yeah, every year in the opening ceremony, there's a video like this which announces the theme of the STEMathon. Here we go. Last year's theme was sustainability. The future starts now. So teams had to come up with solutions to something to make the world more sustainable going forward. And we saw all sorts of neat projects, which I think you're going to be talking about next.
Yes, we are. So these are some projects from past STEMathons. So for example, there was Wonder Vision, which is to help make eye care more accessible for people who live in rural areas. Scope, which was helping youth, specifically girls who are not in school like regular day to day, get a proper education. And Hey Teacher, which was helping students get help from their teachers more easily. And Heard, which is making drive-thrus more accessible by having AI generated and ASL caption systems. So these are some projects that people have created for past STEMathons.
There have been some really cool ones. I think my favorite one last year was tackling the fast fashion industry and how you can make clothing more. And so it was like an app that will help you, like it will use AI to navigate your wardrobe and be like, hey, you have this, or hey, someone 3 doors down has it. And it was just really cool ideas. It's like, whoa, this is neat.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now the big question everyone's probably asking is, when is the STEMathon happening this year? So this year it is happening May 27th to 28th of 2023, I should say. And then, yeah, the sign up link where would they find the sign up link?
The sign up link is going to be released. We're going to open registration on February 26th, the same day as FTC provincials. That's when we're going to open registration. And so it'll everything will come up on our social media and on our First Canada website, and it'll be announced that. So we'll post it out in lots of different places. This is really cool, but I guess what I want to ask is, Julia, what was, and for both of you, what was your favorite part of the STEMathon that you participated in as a student?
Ooh. Samantha, do you want to start?
Sure. I think my favorite part was it was like a three-way tie between working late night with my teammates, just the brainstorming of the problem together. My favorite part of the STEMathon, and actually robotics in general, is designing the solution in the design aspect. And finally, when my last favorite part was when finally everything came together and we had our solution, and it fit perfectly with the team. It worked very well. So that was my favorite part of the STEMathon.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was the late night conversations my team got into. It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Everyone is super tired and you're just trying to push through these past little bits. And we said, okay, we'll take a quick nap. We'll reconvene like 6 a.m. And then I just remember waking up to my phone buzzing. There was 20 missed calls from my teammates because I slept through all my alarms.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But it got done, it got finished, and then we presented it. I think, I can't remember. I feel like one of my teammates might have won the Gracious Professionalism.
Very cool. Yeah, that's one of the awards there. That's one of the individual ones.
Yeah.
Hey, Muskaan, do you have a question? Muskaan, did you do the STEMathon ever? Have you done it?
I have not, unfortunately, but
Okay.
this is kind of changing my mind. I'm quite looking forward to maybe joining. But yeah, I do wonder, what is the experience like? What is it like to be in the STEMathon?
Well, you meet people from across the first community. Like when I signed up for STEMathon, I was signing up individually, and I just and I was paired with 3 people who I've never met before. And so the first community is like a really tight knit community. Like you see people at one competition, or you meet people on the youth council, for example, and you just see them at different competitions or events. Like I went to this event that University of Toronto hosted, and I saw Anthony from the youth council who was there. And so so just by coincidence, it's a tight community. So I actually met who was on Michelle, who was on the youth council last year. She was on my team for the STEMathon, and that's how I met her, and I worked with her. And then the following year, we were both on the youth council together. So it's an incredible way to connect with the First Canada community.
I'll have to look forward to that sign up link.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait for the STEMathon. Honestly, it is one of my favorite events in the year, maybe even more than some of the in-person events. I don't know, there's just like a really cool vibe about it. Just seeing the Slack group light up, and it's like a lot of hard work, but there's just so much joking around. I remember last year, it was just like there was a bunch of like Madonna jokes with Material Girl, and it was just it was a really good time. And it's a blast. I recommend everyone signs up for it. So stay tuned on social media. And also the prizes are huge. There's a real chance to win some cool stuff. So you get to do fun stuff, win prizes. Hey, what could be better than that? Julia, Samantha, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for supporting this. I know you two are both very, very busy, so we'll let you get back to everything that you've got going on. Julia, welcome back. Always great to have you around. And
Thanks,
folks,
Karthik.
we will be back with our next segment in just a moment after word from one of our sponsors, Magna International. All right, we are back. We are back. Yes, we are. Muskaan, STEMathon sounds pretty cool, eh?
I didn't even know about it until now, actually, and it looks so amazing. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for it because I really want to join.
Yeah, it feels like something, especially for first tech challenge students who are like used to like the small project and the like the really hands-on sort of thing. Like I think that could be a really cool one. It might be a fun one to join with your team, join as individuals. Hey, it's lots of options there. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit of First Lego League, but it's a little bit different this time. We're talking about the First Canada C.O.R.E initiative. So I'd like to welcome out our guests. First off, we got our first Robotics Canada program manager for First Lego League Challenge, Annika Pint. Hello, Annika. Nice hat.
For Valentine's Day.
Very nice. Happy Valentine's Day. And I like how it also matches the First Canada Live logo. It's very fancy right there. You're on point. Our next guest, a teacher from the North Bay area. It is Jackson Beam. How's it going, Jackson?
Hi there. How's it going? It's going great over here.
Fabulous, man. We're really excited to have you on the show. Really excited to learn about all the cool stuff you all have been up to. And we also have another teacher from the Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic District School Board, Sue Corsack. Hello, Sue. And Sue is here with her students,
Hi.
Caitlin and Leah. Hi, everyone.
Good evening. Hi.
How are you all doing today? Thank you, Caitlin and Leah. It is long after school. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
I mean, anything for this program. So.
Oh, that is great to hear. All right, so we want to figure out, we want to tell our audience what this is all about. Annika, to start us off, the question is, what does C.O.R.E stand for?
Okay, C.O.R.E is an acronym and it stands for Creating Opportunities for Robotics Equity.
Very cool. And when I hear a lot of things that I like there. I love opportunities, I love equity, and of course I love robotics. I wouldn't be on the show otherwise. But can you tell us a little bit about how this initiative came to be and who has benefited from the opportunities that have been created in robotics equity? See how I did that?
Sure. It was we're very fortunate. This opportunity was made possible thanks to funding from something called the STEM Equity Community Innovation Grant, and also from CanCode. First Robotics Canada was one of only 10 organizations globally that received this grant from First Headquarters. And the intention was to provide, as the name suggests, equitable STEM engagement opportunities for youth. The way that First Canada did so was to recruit some very engaging and skilled facilitators like Jackson to partner with some very courageous and innovative teachers like Sue to bring the First Lego League Challenge and also the First Lego League Explore programs to brilliant students like Caitlin and Leah in classrooms, actually only 16 classrooms across Ontario.
Only?
Exclusive opportunity, and they did so through a series of 10 half-day workshops, and then I'm sure they'll tell you a little bit more about it. But following the learning experiences in class, the students also participated in like a culminating event at which they showcased and celebrated their learning and accomplishments.
Okay, and Jackson, you were one of the facilitators that worked in the classrooms to implement both the programs, First Lego League Challenge, First Lego League Explore. And I'd love to know, what ways did participation in this program really have an impact on the teachers and students that you were working with?
Well, I think as the name suggests, the biggest thing that was amazing for us to see was students who wouldn't normally get exposed to a program like this, who wouldn't normally get the opportunity to do something like this outside of their school hours, whether that's just because they didn't think they would be interested in this kind of thing. They have a lot of other things going on. A lot of our students are athletes and involved in a lot of other things. Maybe they've just never heard of it. That's a very common case, or didn't think that they would have the skills to do something like this. And this was a way for them to prove to themselves that they really could do it, and to bring that into the classroom and make it something that everybody could do. And that was honestly just amazing to watch them learning about the program, learning about STEM, learning about our theme, but also learning about themselves and skills that they never knew that they had, which was pretty amazing. Our two students that are here tonight, both heavily involved in club sports, and so maybe never thought that this was their thing. And now I think they know that it is, and I would bet that both of them would do it again in a heartbeat. So
Well,
that's pretty
it's
amazing.
it's interesting, Jackson. I think about this a lot because we have our programs that run extracurricularly, and that's a big deal or whatever. And you think about Dean Kamen's mission: get a team in every single school. But if it's just an extracurricular, like you only have 20 students who are passing through, which is a lot. That's fabulous. That's great. But when you get it through the classroom, every student in that grade gets to experience it. And with extracurriculars, so often people sign up for what they think they already like. And if they're already, exposed to Lego at home or exposed to coding or whatever.
Or they may only sign up for things they already think they're good at.
Exactly. Or they might think, oh, I could never do that. All the best kids are going to, whatever best means. The best kids are going to, I could never do it. But when it's in the classroom, everyone gets a chance. And that, I think, is part of the magic here. Muskaan, do you have a question for Jackson?
Sorry, I was just going to
go on.
give you a little bit more of that one. And then I think the nice thing is that for the students who do have a bit of background in this, they get to take on that leadership role in the classroom, which is really fun to watch and demonstrate their core values and how they help their peers learning. So that's another really fun aspect.
That's a really good point there, because it's not just teacher to student learning, it's peer-to-peer learning, which is a really big part of it. Muskaan, do you have a question for Jackson?
Yeah, so I was just wondering, it's an amazing initiative. I wanted to know, what's the best part about being a facilitator? What makes it so enjoyable?
So for me, as a pretty new teacher, I have to say selfishly, nothing beats the feeling of walking into a classroom full of students and them literally cheering for you to be there. And I think that I will be chasing that feeling for the rest of my career. But honestly, Annika mentioned that we did a little bit of a culminating tournament for each team, and that was an absolute blast for me, and I hope for everybody else. I tried to give them pretty much an authentic first Lego League tournament experience. Get everybody jammed in the same room, get all that energy in together, have parents and community members and the media there, and the board projected up on the wall and the big timer, and just make it feel really real, because I think most of us know how awesome that energy is to feel. But to be able to provide that experience for them to make it feel like they were really doing this was so fun. And honestly, like, I think that day was when it clicked for some of those students who might not have been as engaged over the course of the program. They went, oh yeah, okay, now I get it. Now I get why we're doing this. This is cool. There we go. And some of them probably did more coding in between matches that day than they did in the 9 weeks before, because they suddenly were feeding off all that energy. So that was a lot of fun.
And Jackson, what's next for you?
So nothing's set in stone yet, but I'm right now just in the middle of talks trying to get a Lego Robotics program in place semi-permanently at one of the school boards here in town. So hoping to get that up and running in the next few months. So that's yeah.
That's very, very exciting. And Sue, for you were one of the teachers who was partnered with Jackson to help make this program a reality in your classroom. And so what were the benefits that you saw from all of this?
Well, the benefits, Jackson already mentioned one of them, is the fact that instead of having a team that you're going to go to after school, and there's only a small amount of kids on that team, I have like 28 students that are all participating in the first Lego League Challenge. And that was really interesting to see. And Jackson is right. Kids that never usually did coding or never thought they could do coding were like, literally couldn't wait to get the table to try to code. And then the other facet is the innovation projects they did. They learned so much about the technologies around them that are lending themselves to the coding. So it was brilliant. It was a really great experience for both myself, because it was a great learning curve for me, and for my students.
And so speaking of that learning curve, do you have any advice for the teachers out in the audience who are watching who might be considering the first Lego League Challenge program in their classroom?
Well, it sounds like a commercial, but just do it because the benefits, outweigh any of the little challenges. The challenges for a teacher is always time constraints. 10 weeks is a little bit, it's a little rushed for us. So that the time frame was the biggest challenge, but I would tell everybody who's considering it absolutely to do it, because the amount of learning that happens is phenomenal. Plus, it's not an add-on. There are so many curriculum expectations that are covered effortlessly with the program. And I'm talking from learning skills to math to sciences and to languages. There's so much happening. And because it's my second year with the program, I was able to really hone in on the expectations. So I actually reported on them, our report cards this time around, because
Very cool.
we were covering it. Oh yeah. So yeah.
Hey, and Caitlin and Leah, I would love to know, what was your favorite part of participating in the First Lego League Challenge program?
I really enjoyed learning about the new program, but also working with other, like my other members, because I hadn't really had the opportunity to work with so many people before. So definitely working with some new people definitely helped out with my projects and coding. Yeah, I really agree with that, because I found that I never really talked to the people I was partnered up with, but I really have a strong relationship with them, and we're all really good friends. We have a group chat and we talk constantly. And so it really built friendships for me. And that was really good for me. It also built up my confidence, because I never even knew Spike was a thing, or any of this was a thing, to be honest, let alone an experience. So it definitely like built up my confidence, just getting to see what I can actually do. So that was really nice.
Cool. Muskaan, you got a question for Caitlin and Leah?
I do. I'm wondering, how has participating in this program, how has it impacted your decisions that you're going to be making about your education, your future, and your possible career choices?
So the program has definitely made me feel more confident in myself. So I think later on in my life, it will definitely push me to do more things, but it also is expanding my career choices, because not that many people get the opportunities to code and do other things like that. So I think that that will definitely help me find some better careers and be more successful. Yeah, I really agree with Caitlin in this sense again, because like I said, I never even knew Spike and coding robots was even a thing. I thought that it was just kind of there, and I never really looked deeper into it. So now that I know it is actually a thing that I really enjoy and a program that I really enjoy, I think it opens a lot of new doors in my life and in my future for me, especially with career choices, because there probably is a lot of careers just like Mr. Beam. And that really inspired me, just because there's a lot of new doors that were opened about this.
It's wild how your perspective changes. I think back to when I was a student and how I had this idea of what my future was going to be. And then I participated in First Robotics. And then all of a sudden, my entire life trajectory changed. And I'm in a totally different place than I would have been. And not to say that I would have been in a bad place the other way, but I'm just it's amazing. It's just like, yeah, oh, wow, this is what the world is. And coding is here. And problem solving is here. And that's the other thing. It's not just the coding. It's like all these things that you can solve. So it's really cool that you had this experience. Before we go, Annika, I was wondering if there's anything else you wanted to wrap this segment up with. Anything, final words from First Canada about the C.O.R.E initiative?
Look, just really grateful to Jackson, Sue, Caitlin, and Leah for being on the show tonight to give us just a small glimpse of what the many other students, teachers, and workshop facilitators experience through participation. And we're hoping to expand this program such that other students across the province can also benefit in the same ways that Caitlin and Leah have. Thank you so much for being part of this.
And folks out there, if you're watching and you're like, wow, I need this in my classroom, I need this in my school, head on over to the First Canada website, do the drop down for First Lego League Challenge. There's a contact form there. You can get in touch. Annika will help you. All the first senior mentors will help you. We'll make this happen, because, we want to make this a reality. We want more students to come out with the excitement and energy that Caitlin and Leah have, and more teachers like Jackson and Sue, just to be able to deliver this stuff. It is really, really cool. Thank you everyone for coming on. I love the passion. I love the excitement. It's so cool. Re-energizes me. And folks, we will be back in just a moment with our next segment.
Thank you.
All right, we're back, and it just goes fast and furious here on First Canada Live. Our next guest, she's a health policy researcher, writer, and advisor with over 20 years of writing experience with health agencies. She's the author of the new book, Superpower, The Wearable Tech Revolution, and a proud parent of 2 First alumni. Welcome, Elaine Kachala. Welcome, Elaine. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us, especially on Valentine's Day. We know everyone is so busy. There's a lot going on, but hey, we're celebrating our love for robots and our love for good books here today.
Absolutely.
So right away, can you tell us a little bit about your new book?
Yeah, Superpower, the Wearable Tech Revolution is a nonfiction book for middle grade readers. It introduces kids to the field of wearable technology, its origins, key inventions, applications, and it's packed with exciting ways that wearables can improve our lives, such as wearable robotic suits, exoskeletons to help kids with cerebral palsy to walk again, or virtual reality to help physicians train, surgeons train, so they don't put patients at risk. So there's tons of exciting ways. But then the book also goes into challenges and ethical questions around these technologies. And so readers meet engineers, scientists, designers, and young inventors who are exploring the technology's pros and cons, and who are navigating through this new frontier of wearable computing, and who are facing issues of how to design technology responsibly. And what does responsible design actually mean? I'm actually just going to step back for a minute to say how excited I am to hear about that C.O.R.E initiative, because in fact, diversity and inclusion in teamwork is a huge part of being able to design technology responsibly. And so you have to back that up, and to have diverse team and inclusive teams, you need to make sure all kids have access to STEM and STEAM education. So that is really fabulous and exciting to hear. So Superpower is published by Orca Book Publishers, and it's part of their Orca Think series, the nonfiction series for middle readers that introduces kids to issues making world headline news and encouraging them to think critically and ask questions and take action for a better future.
That is very cool. Elaine, I really love that you covered the ethical issues in the book, because I think that's one of the things about first, we aren't just trying to build the best robots. Our students learn so much when we think about our core values or whatever. And one of those is like really about the ability to evaluate situations ethically and look at it through a lens of gracious professionalism, and not just the impact on like, what is my invention going to do for me? That's not the point. What is your invention going to do for everyone? And is your invention going to be inclusive? Is it going to work for everyone? And we've seen all sorts of things about that, where technology, it's because some people think of technology is just technology, but like sometimes technology is gender biased, like crash test dummies in cars, or racially biased. We've seen with some scanners, like some medical devices scan white skin effectively, but don't scan darker skin effectively.
Absolutely. That's a huge issue, actually, with the pulse oximeter that it became a huge issue during COVID. So yeah, there's so many things around, bias in tech development and design that are coming to the forefront right now, and huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I think first really helps prepare our students to think about these bigger picture sort of items, and it's not just about being self-serving, but it's really cool like that. Muskaan, do you have a question for Elaine?
Yeah, I'm wondering what made you choose the topic of wearable tech? It's very niche, and I would love to learn more about it.
Oh, well, I guess it didn't happen overnight. It came together over many years, and a few different threads came together. So in my work in health policy and research, I saw the way wearable technologies were improving people's lives, especially people with disabilities. And at the same time, I had already sort of gone down the process of learning to write for kids. And I was at a workshop and talking to editors and writers about what topics might be of interest to middle grade readers and the impacts of technology on the world. And I thought, I'm kind of intrigued, and I might like to try to write a book about a STEM book. And I got into the research, and when I was waist deep into the research, a few things hit me. Wow, that wearable computing really is the next frontier of technologies that can change our lives. And there was so much happening, both positively and negatively, in this space. And it was this really complicated mix of fantastic benefits, but risks and ethical questions. And the controversy really intrigued me. And so I realized that this was the kind of critical thinking type of book that I wanted to write about. And it also hit me that wearables are so relevant for kids' lives, and the topic is a meaningful way for kids to make connections between the bigger picture around technology development, what's happening in the world and impact on their lives, and what they're learning in school, the STEM learning in school. Plus, the whole idea of superpowers is just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let's face it. But I guess the other thing that's in my mind always is I think of the topic of wearable technology around the issues of health, well-being, and equity. And that's always been part of my work in health policy. And so it sort of really resonated with me. So that's how the wearable tech topic came along.
And Elaine, you mentioned that you're a health policy researcher, and obviously you're now an author. Being an author, is that something you always wanted to do, or is it something that later on in your career it came about? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, in my career, I wrote reports for government and for health agencies. And I really liked writing. I mean, actually writing essays was always one of my favorite things to do. And back at school, I don't know, the research and the writing, I just really enjoyed that process. When I was at my work, I actually worked with communication teams, a lot of work around, crafting the way information is presented to governments and so on and so forth. And I worked with communication teams and editors, and I learned a lot from them about how to simplify complicated information through stories. And that really intrigued me. And about several years ago, I was just feeling like I needed something creative, time for a hobby. And so I thought, well, writing felt familiar. Why not try writing for kids? I love kids' books. I still have all the books from when my kids were young. I think kids' books are just like a work of art and design, the way the stories come together with the illustrations. And so I just started down the path of doing workshops and courses and going to conferences, and I was enjoying it. And I also felt like nonfiction was a good fit. So that's how that came about.
That is very cool, because I think there's probably a lot of young people watching this show who will say like, yeah, I really do enjoy writing essays or whatever. And then, and our alumni as well. But then you kind of go into the work, and being an author seems so like wild, it's like, how do you write a book? How do you do that or whatever? So it's kind of cool that, you've shown that the transition, it can be something that, happens early in your career, happens late in your career. And if there's a passion in a way, you can just kind of follow it. And so
yeah, you just have to keep going. It does take a long time though.
I'm
Got to stick with it. Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Well, this book, I'm going to say about 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
But it wasn't specifically on this draft. There was just a lot of background thinking that I was doing and researching before I actually got to the point of the topic of wearables. Yeah. But yeah,
so
and ideas changed.
When you're doing that background thinking and stuff, do you take lots of notes, or was it just always living in your head? Or
no, I have lots of files, lots of notes. Yeah, lots of research, lots of talking to experts, lots of book reading, watching videos, like podcasts of experts talking, a lot of journal research, that sort of thing. Yeah, a lot of primary research, important to get the facts right.
Of course. That's fabulous. That's kind of cool to kind of see what that process is like. Muskaan, do you have another question for Elaine?
Yeah, so I was wondering, I know you referenced FIRST in your book a bit. Would you want to talk about that a bit?
Oh, for sure. I have 2 daughters. They're older now, 30 and 25 actually. And way back at high school, they were on FIRST robotics teams. They were on SWAT team 771, St. Mildred's Women Advancing Technology. And, FIRST had an incredible impact on their lives. It had amazing impact on the exposure they gained to technology development and design, and the teamwork and the leadership and the friends they met. And the core values, I think, really shaped who they became. And so when it came to writing this book, I knew I wanted to interview young inventors. And I thought of FIRST, because not only are FIRST students developing cutting edge technologies, but they have greater insights into the pros and cons of technology. And as I started learning about responsible design, just like you were saying, Karthik, I thought first thing of the core, FIRST core values, because that really resonates with the concept of responsible design. And so I reached out to Dave Ellis, who kindly connected me with students or teachers at Glen Ames Senior Public School and Alvin Curling School. And I had a chance to interview a few classes. And I have to tell you, interviewing FIRST students was one of the most fun things about writing this book. It was really super. And lucky for me that the students at Glen Ames happened to be working on a project that involved wearable tech. The theme that year was mental health, and Team 458, they were called Guardians of the Galaxy. They worked on a prototype to help astronauts with mental health in outer space because, space missions are long and lonely and they're separated from their families, and a lot of issues can happen around that. And so the students designed an autonomous robot with a 360-degree camera to record family videos in the home. And then this was sent to, the idea is that the videos would be sent to the astronauts in outer space and that they would watch them in VR. And because VR is so real, they would actually feel connected to their families and not feel like they're missing out on all kinds of events. And hopefully this would alleviate some issues around mental health and loneliness and depression. And the project was called Home Away from Home, and it actually won first place at the 2018-2019 international competition. So that was very cool to be able to include this team in the book.
That is so neat to be able to pull that all together, and that's got to be rewarding for you as a person who was exposed to the program through your kids, and now it kind of all comes full circle. That is really, really cool. And so this book sounds absolutely amazing. Where can people get a copy of this book?
Oh, anywhere, your library or anywhere you buy books, online or in bookstores. It's pretty much everywhere across North America and internationally.
That's fabulous that it's taken flight like that and everything. And I guess, you talked about the process of becoming an author and all of that, but is there something cool that you learned as a new author that was unexpected for you?
Yeah, I learned a couple of things. I mean, when I was a kid, nonfiction books were densely packed texts full of facts. And that is not the case with nonfiction books for middle grade now, because, kids can find facts on the internet. You don't need a book for facts. And so middle grade books now are all about helping kids question and think critically about issues. And I thought that when I realized this was happening, I thought this was pretty cool. So that was a pretty cool factor. And then I guess on a personal level, when I started down this path, certainly there were many challenges. Everything about writing this book was new to me, learning about the publishing industry, the topic, writing for kids, everything was new. And so I guess it just felt kind of cool to me to be able to, take on a writing project that was totally different and make it a published book.
That's very cool. Hey, Elaine, before we go, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask, as an author, what are you reading right now? Anything cool?
Oh, my goodness. I'm starting onto a new project right now, another book actually for Orca. And so when I'm writing, I happen to be reading only things that are relevant for that book. So it's not a book per se, but it's lots of articles around using new technology to build homes. So stuff like 3D printing. So it's a lot of research that I have my head into right now.
That's really interesting, Elaine, because when I have some other time, I help out with this charity that does educational infrastructure in Africa. And the co-founder sent me a link about the 3D printing that's being potentially used over there to do housing in an inexpensive, accessible way, and it's not involving like the use of concrete, which is so hard to do in regions like that. So that's fascinating. I can't wait to see what you come up with for that book.
Thanks. That'll be 2025. Publishing's a long process.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll bring you back on the show for that one. We'll get you back here. We'll talk about it. But always love to hear from people who are part of our first community and what they're doing. And this is really cool. So folks, if you want to learn more about Elaine and her book and everything else, you can find all her socials and all her details at her website, www.elainekachala.com. Elaine, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for coming to the First Leg Week Challenge kickoff and everything you do. And good luck with the new book. And everyone,
Thank you.
Grab Elaine's book. It's going to be good.
Thank you. My pleasure. And thank you for having me and for your interest.
Of course, Elaine. All right, Muskaan, this has been a really fun show. But before we go, Muskaan, I want to ask you, what are you most excited about for First Tech Challenge Provincials?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have to say probably the dance that always happens during right around awards ceremony. I can picture it in my head. I've been looking forward to it all year. I cannot wait for Cotton Eye Joe to come up, and then the entire crowd comes down and everyone gets on it. That is probably my favorite part of every first event.
It's always good when there's a dance song played, and we can just, everyone just like, especially after like a long, intense day, just to kind of relax, and then just the energy of everyone, and it's just a really feel good moment. That's going to be cool. It is going to be a good time. So, Muskaan, thank you so much for co-hosting. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at First Tech Challenge Provincials. And for everyone else, we will see you back here on the show February 28th. We've got some cool stuff happening. We're going to have a recap of First Tech Challenge Provincials because it's going to happen a couple of days before. We're going to be doing First Robotics Competition robot reveals and a discussion with some of our FRC head referees as we head into big robot season. So it's going to be a blast, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye, folks.